And now you know. All right, experts are now very busy adding up the costs of Hermine, which was affecting the East Coast at this time last week.
Now, beach erosion likely will be one of the storm's costlier legacies. You take a look at Fire Island Beach here in New York, the before and after of Hermine's arrival, and you can clearly see some of the issues caused by that storm.
And that's just one beach. There were many. But the biggest financial impact will probably be on the economies of beach communities. Let's talk to meteorologist and business analyst Paul Walsh. As always, fascinating take on events like this. So, Paul, how do storms normally impact local economies?
Well, normally, Maria, we always talk about three phases. There's the forecast factor, or essentially how the prediction of the forecast is going to change people's plans and basically change where they're going to go and spend money. There's the impact of the storm, obviously where the storm is actually hitting, and then finally the recovery. For Hermine, I think the biggest impact globally is going to be that forecast factor piece, and that's a function of how long that the hurricane storm was in the media, and we're talking about this, the fact that it had this sort of circuitous path that ultimately impacted the east coast of the U.S., and most importantly, it impacted the east coast of the U.S. on probably the biggest holiday weekend of the summer.
So true. Now, Paul, of course, Hermine before it impacted the East Coast, impacted Florida. It had been the first time in more than 10 years that they had to deal with a hurricane. Did that result in some bigger impacts there?
I think so, and I think, Alex, it's because of the fact that there's not been a storm for so long, and because of the fact that there's probably 1 million more people living in Florida since they've had a hurricane, that there was a bigger impact in terms of the preparation. Also, a lot of the local governments, while they are typically very prepared, haven't really had to exercise those preparations. So it's kind of gave them a trial run, and I think there were some issues around power restoration. But I think now that that's under our belt, the next storm impact may not be as strong.
All right, so do we have a sense yet of just how big an impact the storm had, as you mentioned, on the Labor Day weekend, potential loss of business for places like the Jersey Shore?
Yeah, and for the Jersey Shore in particular, Maria, we've seen reports where local businesses lost about 2/3 of what they would typically get on a Labor Day weekend. Of course, for them, that's really bad because you can't really recover that. But I will say that as somebody who spent a lot of time in the Jersey and the Delaware Shore this summer, the weather over the entire summer has been spectacular, and the beach weekends have been really great. So I think the impact won't be devastating. In fact, I think what'll probably happen is instead of these beach businesses having a spectacular summer, they may just have a great summer. I think for overall the entire summer, the weather's been pretty good for those businesses.
All right, and we're looking forward to those numbers hopefully being good.
Yes.
All right, Paul Walsh, as always, thank you so much for your analysis. And amazing, a week after, we're still talking about Hermine.
Oh, my goodness. Can we get